let's transition to post-football. I know I've watched you tell your story once on the Doc Talk podcast with Travis and Rob Zadiska.
Yep.
And you talked specifically about that last year or two, I believe, if I recall correctly, feeling the effects of playing football.
Yeah.
For example, the fact that there are times you felt a lightning bolt hitting you and you'd have to sit down and things like that. When did those kind of symptoms start kicking in before you actually left? Were they right away, or was it in the last couple of years you were there that you were in pain?
No, I mean, the pain stuff was just the entire time. But as far as the lightning bolt coming out of nowhere as I'm walking around campus, that was in that last season. I'd say probably about halfway through that season is when that really started happening pretty bad, and playing in games, no longer being able to kind of lift my hands to hit somebody or whatever, just kind of using battering ram with just the forehead to try and take care of a guy. That's how the end of that my senior season was. So that's when that stuff was at its peak, was during that the last part of that senior year, for sure. Yeah.
Was it something that just out of nowhere for no particular reason started to happen, or was there an instance that you remember where you just got hit the wrong way, or you hit somebody the wrong way, and then a day or two later you started to feel the effects of it? Do you remember kind of the moment where you were like, okay, I'm in pain all the time, but this is something that's a little bit different?
That's a tough one. It's like I can remember certain moments. It's like I always wore a neck roll, right? Because I remember even in high school, I think something broke on my pad. So I went and just had a series without it or something. And just, again, it just didn't feel right in my neck, just even like at that moment of high school play. But, and Lincoln, always had to have the neck collar to give that extra support and that extra cushion. It's like from what it was described to me from a specialist, it was that your neck has like this backward kind of C curve to it or whatever. It makes it a little spongy. And he was saying that he thought through all the hitting and things like that, it kind of straightened it out and almost extended it the other direction. Which he was saying it just caused that jamming. Instead of a little sponge give when you pop somebody, boom, it just jams more. And I could say towards the end, especially in that beginning of that senior year, and then as it progressed, that as I'm hitting those guys on ISOs, it's just stinging a little differently. Because here's the thing people don't understand. I've said this before, and I'll say it again because, we pick up on little things here and there. As a Nebraska fullback, if you don't have a stinger in a game, you're not doing your job, right? And so the quicker you go ahead and get that over with, the better. And sometimes you're going to have one on one side, you're going to have another on the other side, and you just play through that. That's part of the game. That's part of what we used to do. But this was different than that because it was a whole lot more. I could still play through it, but I just knew mentally it's like you probably shouldn't. But again, at the end of the day, it was, you're going to do what you need to do to, play in for your team to win. So, yeah. But yeah, that definitely was something new. Yeah.
So the pain was there the entire time you played for the most part. As you leave and transition out of school, where did you end up going? What was your next step after college? What did you end up doing for a living? And was the pain stopping you from really having a quality life?
Yeah, I'd say without a doubt, the pain was always something. Heck, even when I was at Lincoln, I couldn't really even do squats because my knees hurt so bad. I had like the tendonitis issues. So we do special different things that I have to work on with the guy down there, Brian Bailey. Won't go deep into that, just simply saying that all the joints in the body always hurt. So being done, my knees hurt, my back hurt, my neck hurt. So it kind of sounds like a comedian, my knees, my back, my neck. But anyways, the point is that, yes, I was hurting. When I got done, I really didn't even know what I wanted to do. I was never one of the guys that thought about playing professionally, anything like that. I wasn't a kid thinking, I'm going to go play in the league. As I was older in high school, I was always that guy that looked at where I'm at, and then wanting to play at Lincoln, wanting to win championships there. So when it's done, I remember that there are different companies that were interviewing on Canvasman. One was Pella. So I interviewed with Pella just to kind of do the interviewing process. My major was communication studies. And again, just an idea of that is reason why I'm just going to go through this for a moment is I knew mentally that 95% of people are terrified to get up and speak in front of people. So was I, but I told myself, hey, I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to say be a specific doctor or something at this moment. Therefore, I want to try and find something I can have a niche. I felt that could be my niche, and that's what I got my degree in. So I can get in front of people, I can talk and be comfortable. Now, I'm always nervous. I'm always, it's a scary experience, but I get up there and I can do it because I've made myself do it. So I knew I could do that. I knew about interviewing and those type of things from having that major. So back to the point is Pello's there to interview with them. Then another company was there, Pfizer. I didn't know anything about pharmaceutical companies, pharmaceutical sales, nothing. Interview with Pfizer. Guess the interview went really well. They offered me the position to work for Pfizer. I went and did like a little, what's called like a ride along, where you go with a sales representative and see what it's like. And I thought it seemed like a really neat job. You're going around, you're talking to doctors. This is back in the day when you had some access, you could go and do things. And I was like, hey, that seems like a pretty good job. I mean, you make decent money, you make good money, and, you get to learn and you get to help patients. But my only hang up was I'm done playing football. Right. And so last thing I want to do is hear about football all the time, or, hey, how was it playing? Or that's not what I want to hear. And I'm also a person like a lot of guys, when they say go to Lincoln or they go to a big D1 school, a lot of guys get smacked in the face of reality of you are no longer this stud athlete that some may never have had to really work out before, right? You're facing several guys that are all the same level you are at. Who's going to elevate their game level to become a starter, right? And so that was also my similar mentality when it came to work. It's like, I don't want to work here and be in Lincoln just doing pharmaceutical sales and just use my name. Because one, I'm going to talk about football all the time, and I don't feel like talking about football. It's over, and I'm not really happy it's over. My body's broken. Right. Let's not do that. And two, it's like, hey, let's go somewhere new, and let's start anew. And so I went and I interviewed with Eli Lilly, actually today is one of my college roommates. It was one of my very best friends growing up. It's his wife today. It was her aunt was with Eli Lilly. And ended up interviewing with them and ended up getting an offer to go to Denver. So I went out there, and that's kind of how I started my career. My professional career was doing pharmaceutical sales with Eli Lilly in Denver.
Okay. So about what time, once you got out of school, about what time in this timeline was it that the addiction began to take hold as far as pain management? When did you get first prescribed the pain management meds, and when did that start to turn toward the negative side? And did you see it as a negative at first?
So I can tell you right away that no, I didn't see it as negative at all. At all. I was in pain. But I'll back up and say pretty much as soon as I walked off the field down at Lincoln, was seeing a doctor and them seeing my x-rays, seeing my MRIs, seeing that, there's spinal stenosis that was going on. There was a specialist that said that I had played through 3 spinal concussions in that senior year alone, and all the other issues I had. Right away, they were prescribing like the hydrocodones. And back then, I didn't really even know what they were. But looking back now and reflecting, I think it's like the hydrocodone was like a 10 milligram pill with 650 of acetaminophen, which is basically the same as Tylenol. So it's a combo pill. That's what I started off with. And that's a pretty good sized dose. Usually people start with 5s. Mine was right away at 10s. And from that 10s, we just kind of start gradually upping. But I can tell you this is when I was in college, I was all about not getting in trouble, not making the university look bad. I had the utmost respect for, Coach Osborne, utmost respect for Coach Solich. So whoever was the head coach, I was not going to be the guy in the headline that was bringing shame. So I knew early because, even at college, it's like I may have had a time where I'd sit and drink with my buddies or something, but it'd be at home because I knew once I started kind of drinking, like I was a binge drinker. I didn't stop till it was all gone. So I knew that and recognized that early. I mean, I went out to drink in public like one time where I went to like the Rail or something for like my 21st birthday. But that's really all you ever saw. The guys didn't see me out and about and that kind of stuff. So I bring all that up to say that once I'm done with football, once I'm no longer in Lincoln, now I'm kind of over in Denver. Now it's time to have some fun because I worked my butt off, in Lincoln. I was all about studying, getting my grades. And now I'm at this point where football is just gone.
And you want it to be gone.
I want it to be gone, but I don't want it to be gone. But so it's like I want football to be gone with all the pounding and everything else that it did to my body. The thing that I didn't realize, and still it took me years to understand, what I missed in my heart was being a part of the team. The brotherhood as far as, because I really wasn't even very close to a lot of guys on the team. That's just how it was. I had a few guys that I was pretty close to, but I don't know. I just was in my own kind of lane. But again, when it was gone and no longer having that one place you went and, you could release everything, all the built up emotions, feelings, all that stuff on the field. You could play together, you could win a game, all that. With that being gone, without being a part of something, I felt very alone and isolated and shamed and sad, but yet mad. But it was a lot of things because, again, I kind of share with you, there was maybe some misunderstandings at time with maybe a certain coach or two or something so there's all those things I really held on to and was really frustrated and, angry about, or to a certain degree. And what I found is that now that I don't have that daily discipline of this is the schedule and this is what you're going to be following, and I actually had the freedom of doing pharmaceutical sales where there's more autonomy. You do have certain territories and areas, but it's like all you have to do is hit your numbers, hit the amount of visits you need to do, and get your sales numbers where your sales numbers are right. See, I'll put it this way. I knew that I need to see back then it was like at least 9 doctors. So what I would do is I just make sure, boom, I have my stuff where I know where the doctor's going to be. Boom, I'm seeing them first thing in the morning and getting my day in whatever area it was, even if it's 2-3 hours away. I'm knocking out, say, 11 doctors first thing. That gives me the rest of the day and the evening to do whatever I want. So it wouldn't be, uncommon that when I'm up there during that time period, that at midday I'm in the bar. Just because it's not that I'm in the bar and I'm just slamming and drinking my sorrows away. No, it's just I like to people watch. I like to people watch. I still like to people watch. But, again, when you're doing your job in this autonomy and driving around in your car, it's pretty lonely. You get in an environment like that, even if, again, not, slamming them at that time or in a deep funk at that time, but just being around people. And for me, I was a person that I felt it was kind of needed to loosen me up a little bit because that's probably why I didn't have a lot of close buddies when I played down in Lincoln, because I think I was wired a little tight, and everything else, that's how I was. I had very high principles and expectations of myself. And so, so that's when it kind of began, was just letting loose a little bit early. And then without even noticing, the doses got, where they grew in strength. And then if they weren't quite working, because that's how the body works, it makes adjustments.
Tolerances.
And then it finally maxes out. So therefore you got to go to a higher dose, but then also a different balance. So instead of doing the hydrocodone, you start doing the oxycodone, and then you have the ones that have the acetaminophen in them. You get with the right doctor and you share that, you have concerns about your liver or your kidneys. Then all of a sudden then there is the option to do it without that. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great. Let's just get,
I had that question in my mind because I was like 675 acetaminophen. I mean, if you're taking more than 4 of those a day, you're already tinging on that's too much.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And so for the regular person who's taking maybe 1 a day or something, that's not a big deal. But for a person that's taking, 3 or 4 and it's prescribed that way, they're saying, okay, that's way too much acetaminophen. We got to knock some of that out. Let's just go straight Roxy. And when you're on the side of, yes, you're in pain, you want to treat your pain. It's kind of like, hey, whatever's going to do the job. And without you noticing, it does get to that point of whatever's going to do the job and do a little bit extra to where I'm just good. Because it kind of gets to that point. Either one of you ever seen Ballers like with The Rock. This
No.
is back a while ago. Okay.
No.
It was like an HBO show that had The Rock on it. Point is it kind of shows him as like an ex-NFL guy, and he walks around with a bottle of pills, and he kind of, he pops them on occasion like Skittles. And that's really what I did, is I had my pain pills with me all the time. And hey, if I felt a little extra ache, boom. If I felt a little certain kind of way, like feeling a little extra sad or whatever, boom. If I'm having a good time out and about, boom. That's just how it was. So that's kind of how the addiction was. That's how the cycle kind of went, and till it really spun out of control without me realizing.
Did you ever find yourself, because as an addict myself, did you ever find yourself at some point allowing an intrusive, impulsive thought come over you, where you go, wonder what happens if I take 4 instead of 1, just to see what happens?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the line for addiction, right? It's like one's never enough, thousands, or no, sorry. Yeah, my brain's already shutting down, but like one's never enough, thousand, not too many, or whatever. The point is that you're always wanting more.
Yeah.
You never should start in the first place, but you're always wanting more. And it's like they talk about, when it comes to, say, different substances, you have a person, we'll just stick with alcohol, a person that has a little alcoholic drink, their little beer, and they're just done. They kind of leave it there in their glass. And anybody that can find it, leave some beer, in the glass and walk away because they're good. Done. There's somebody I don't understand, because there's no such thing as being done. No, it does not compute. It's like there's still beer in there, or there's still liquor. It's like you need to finish that, because that's part of, I don't know, you just don't leave it. It's kind of like I don't know.
Like cleaning your plate.
Cleaning your plate. It's like my dad was very strict about that, right? I got, you get a butt whooping for not cleaning your plate. So therefore it's like that's no difference when it comes to especially alcohol. So, but yes, without a doubt, many times and early on. Exactly.
Experimenting, trying to see what kind of euphoric threshold you could reach.
Without a doubt. And I can say, as times got more challenging, which we haven't really dove into, but I can tell you there's definitely times where I took a whole bottle just because I wanted to be done. Yeah. But then wake up that next morning pissed off still to be here. So I can say I've had that experience as well, that I've done that several times. Yeah. So like I said, those are the things in life I wondered for a long time, why was I even here? And like I said, we'll get through some of that stuff, but it's crazy, like to still be here and to, have the ability to try and help other people. Like that's the why, I didn't know back then going through it. So
take me kind of into the point where you start spiraling downward toward those nights where you want to take that whole bottle and hopefully not wake up the next day. Were you still in Denver at this point? Had you transitioned back to Nebraska? How long after graduation was it that you kind of got to that point?
I'd say really within that first year of being done. Because I got, I got married early. I got married while I was in college. I kind of wanted to do that I was walking a tight, rope with God, trying to do this exact by the book type of thing. And I can tell you that I was pretty pissed off at God because, again, my body failed me. There's a lot of frustrations. Go out and do the thing at Denver for a year. And by the end of that year, we'll get divorced on the first one. Going to come back here to Nebraska. And yeah, I'm just in a different spot. I'm angry, but I can't, like today I have emotional intelligence where I can recognize the things that are leading up to a point of being angry, that secondary emotion. Back then I didn't have a clue. And there was just so much built up, the being done with football, the frustrated about how some things may have went, the thing about being frustrated about relationships, the thing about being pissed off at God. All that was there already. And then I come back here to Omaha, kind of starting over, doing a little bit different jobs, pharmaceutical sales, again, partying, having fun, living life a bit. And that emotional part just kept kind of building because, again, I just didn't have, and I didn't even know this at the time, like I no longer had the way of getting that worked out. Yeah, at the time I was kind of going to the gym and doing some lifting, but lifting changes. Like the whole pleasure of lifting, it wasn't even so much pleasure at all in college. It was working your ass off, killing yourself so that you can go out there and dominate on the field. When you're done playing, it's almost like, what's the point?
Yeah,
what is the point to kind of work out and get a little sweat going? To me, back then it's like, I need to work out till I'm ready to throw up, or I do go throw up. I mean, that's just what you're trained to do. So this new change, I wasn't getting it. The whole transformation of being done with college and working out to life, working out, it just wasn't making sense. It wasn't computing. I didn't know that at the time. Again, I know that now. Then I started just going through life in general, went through another marriage, had a kid, had my daughter who I loved, my daughter who's 18 today. Had that thing kind of go, that happened, and just the frustrations of work, trying to deal with a young child. Thing I've learned about myself today is I am horrible without sleep. If I am sleepy or I am hungry, watch out. It's just one of those things. And I also got to check myself. It's like, I'm tired. I need a moment. So going through those things and just continue to build up stuff, because I had I've always had high expectations of myself, or wanted to do the best I can do. And my problem would be that I do that with other people. And it didn't matter who you were, like at work or something. I'd expect everybody to give their best all the time, or to put their best foot forward. Or so it just, you'd have that, you have friends, you'd wondering that. So all these things I'm looking at, and I'm starting to get frustrated because I'm starting to feel like I'm the victim of everything. My friends don't care about me. I contact my friends and I'm there for my friends. But when I need my friends, they're not there for me. Relationships suck. I'm always putting all the work in. I'm always cleaning this or whatever. And really, is that really what went down? Probably not. No, but your brain just has a way of doing this, right? This is the brain for me personally of the addiction, of the victim of things. And that's just the avenue I went down as all these things were occurring. Like I said, so just building and building and building. And finally, and as these things are building, you can see it in my weight, man, because I go from, getting done, like I said, when I was my leanest, was around 260, looking the healthiest. By the time, I'm done, right away, I'm starting to put on weight. And within that first time frame, I'm up to 300 we're going back to like 04, roughly around the time my daughter's born. And that 300 just continues to gain. And during that time, lots of dumb things, did a lot of dumb things. But the dumbest and the one that I got in trouble for was when I had the road rage incident with an off-duty police officer. And when that whole thing went down, like I said, at the end of the day, I was all justified in my mind and my reasoning and everything else. And it's a situation that happened. Again, a guy in his regular car, it's like a little blazer. Again, he's in his regular clothes, has like a flannel t-shirt on, whatever. We had words, and, I ended up bumping my car into his, get arrested over this. And it's a big story. It's all over the news, ex-Husker, Willie Miller is arrested for, and they were saying something like, the charges were something about like some assault charge for attempted assault or something, because he had said that it tried to hit him. And then there was the part for the criminal mischief, because that's property damage greater than $1,500 back then. It's been amended to $5,000 today, or they changed that law like 3 years ago. So, but the point of all that was that's when the shame set in, is because I went through all that time trying to keep my nose clean, not do anything dumb, you lay low. I'm just a guy that, I played football a long time ago, but, since then I'm just a regular guy that's living life. You get in trouble, you're no longer that regular guy that's trying to live life. You're this ex-athlete guy that your name is just, again, your name, the association to the university, the association with the head coach. And I felt like an idiot because, again, one of the most inspirational people in my life, for grown-up advice and for trying to live up to being a man and for making wise decisions, remembering that student always comes before the athlete when student athlete. Those are all things that Coach Osborne taught us. And so to get in trouble and to have it tied to that, it made me feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world. Now, and this is the thing that people who know me, I say this, and I've said this on a couple of podcasts. I do have this. I have a PhD in negative self-talk. I do. It's just one of those things that's instilled in me. Okay. It's like my dad's a great guy. And I talked about that with Travis Justice and with, Rob Zadiska, about how I have a wonderful relationship with my dad today, because I've had to do a lot of work to understand that my dad did the best he could with the tools that he had at the time. And so he and I are good. But that being said, old school principles, when you mess up, you're like, that was like, you're a dumb ass piece of shit. And it wasn't so much, the piece of shit was a little bit extra that he added, didn't maybe need to add, but you're a dumbass, or, you're an idiot, just all those little statements, little smack on the head, again, it's not like he's trying to be like, I'm the worst person in the world type of thing. It's just his fatherly love thing. Okay. I'm not trying to, we're not going to go on to the psychology of all that. Like I'm trying to write it. I'm just simply saying those are events that occurred. Right. So whenever I mess up, that's what comes in my head. You're a dumbass, or you're an idiot, or just things like that. And so having that, so you combine that with getting in trouble, boom, my world is just done. It's done. And I know right then and there that that's a felony. And thank God the way it worked out is that they got rid of the whole assault thing because, again, a woman saw the whole thing, knows that I didn't try and throw a punch at the guy. Again, I did run my car into the back of his, so they convicted me of a felony for criminal mischief. So having a felony, boom, job's gone, money's gone, house gone, car gone, marriage gone, everything's gone. I go and live at the Salvation Army. During that time is when I was done. I mean, there was some stuff that went on. So, I mean, I've got my little scars here, it's like I tried to just cash out at one point. I'll walk you through the scenario is I just was done with life. I decided, well, this is going to be the day. I sit there and I'm drinking. So I got a bottle of Captain Morgan's, one of the nice handle ones, was at 1.75, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there and I'm just taking plugs on that thing because I'm all alone and, life's done. I'm just taking plugs on it. I've got my bottle of hydrocodone still at this time, right? Because they'd switch me back because they'd switch me, right? They switched me from being with the good oxys to, okay, you can only have the hydros today. So I take that whole bottle of whatever was in there. I mean, there's no more. I know there was more than 10. I believe there's more than 15, but I took the whole bottle of that, slammed that down, said, okay, now this is where we're really going to end it. I slid both my wrists and I had them just kind of draining over the trash can, just sitting in my apartment. And then, there's one person that had a key to my place. And next thing I know, I'm hearing my door kind of opening up or whatever. And this guy comes in and he looks and he's like, what are you doing? Like,
dying.
Yeah, I'm like dying. I mean, it's like I'm dying. What are you doing? It was a look I'm doing. I'm like, I'm doing great. Look at me. What are you doing? So, so he called, the police, all, for the ambulance, all that kind of stuff. And so basically, I mean, he found me probably at the one time that this was a done deal. This was a for sure. There were the other times, like I said, where I take the pills and still be frustrated when I woke up. But yeah, all those scenarios, they happened. And they just were the result of being a very broken human being who had zero understanding of emotional intelligence and who was pissed at anyone and everyone else, but yet could not look in the mirror and again, know who I was, have a clue about any kind of personal responsibility, nothing. It was all everyone else's fault. I'm the victim and this is what I'm going to do. That's where I was at that point.